everyone, welcome to my studio. I have a very exciting announcement today, and that is that I am starting another large project. This time I'm working on my own, I'm not partnering with anyone, and it is a project that I'm going to show you right now. I have been commissioned by a church to do 3 big mosaics that are going to go around the sides of a fountain. And they are all the same theme. The theme is Moses. So the first one they want me to work on is this design that I submitted and it was approved to them. This is Moses striking a rock and water's coming forth in the desert. And then they also want Moses parting the sea. And the third one that goes on the fountain is Moses being pulled from the Nile River. So I'll be working on these 3, but they're quite large and I'm going to have to do them one at a time. So this is the one that they want me to start with. This is, I think, the most complicated one because it has more figures. So this is the one that I will be starting with. So let me show you what I've got so far. I've blown up the design to full size, which is 30 inches by 75 inches. So here it is. You can see I lose a little bit of detail when I blow it up. So I have a bit of a task ahead of me on these faces, getting the proper amount of detail in there. There's a baby, woman. This is how big it is. I had to I bought a door at Home Depot and put it on top of my work surface so that I'd have some room to work on the edge and there'd be a little bit of extra space around the edges. I've got some shelf paper I'm going to cover this with, and then I'll be putting mesh on top. The mesh has not arrived yet. It's arriving tomorrow. So today I'm just getting this out and getting a good idea of what glass I'll be using, and then hopefully I will get it all set up and start the glass work this week. That's it. My next mosaic is going to go on this fountain. It is a Moses fountain with the 10 commandments down here and a rock up above, and this is where the first mosaic will go. There are 3 areas, so after I finish that one, I have another one on this side and then a third one on the other side. So it's going to take me a bit of time because that's a pretty big area. The only way to measure these areas was to step into the fountain, and we did have 1 pair of hip waders. It was a bit chilly, but we managed to get her done. All right, it is the next day, and a couple of things have changed. So I'm still waiting for the mesh to arrive, and while I was waiting, I cleaned up everything that was under my table. That was a huge mess. I had a lot of glass and trash and, I don't know, substrates, so that I could pull it out, because when I was taping the edge down, I realized I can't really reach up here and it would be really difficult to work on it if I couldn't reach it. So I pulled it just enough away from the wall so that I can comfortably walk around and work on it from that side if I need to. You know, I could also pick up the door and flip it around, but believe me, it's much easier to walk around than to flip the door. So for now, I've pulled it away from the wall. Now even though I can't reach very well, I could walk around and reach it from that side. And then even better, I have finally installed a super bright shop light, because all the lamps that I was using were sort of driving me crazy. I was moving them all the time. I was plugging and unplugging them, and it was a huge hassle. So I've gotten rid of all of the lamps and everything, and now I have this very bright motion activated light. It also has a pull string. Is this light right here. I actually went to Walmart to pick up some silicone so that I could get started on the project, and I decided to stop and look at the lights. It is time. I need the light. So I bought the light, I bought an extension cord, and I bought these plastic staples so that I could have a little bit of cord management. So my cord comes up the chain, I stapled it a couple places, and then the extension cord comes down all the way down to my outlet, which is about right there. Now I feel like I am set up. When the mesh comes, I can get after it and be cutting glass tomorrow. That's it. I also cleaned off this surface so that if I need to use it for anything, I can, which means I had to hang a few things. And I put a couple more over there. Believe me, this light is so great. It's giving me a new perspective on these mosaics. They are really sparkling with this bright light in here. I just love it. Anyway, that's beside the point. So when my friend and I went out to measure, I numbered them 1, 2, and 3. Originally, I thought they wanted me to start here, but they actually want me to start here on this one. So number 2, I wrote striking the rock. This is the first one. And these are the measurements. So even though I was given by the fountain company the dimensions of 30 by 75, in reality, of course, nothing is perfect. It's 75.5 this way, and then not quite 30 all the way down. So on this side, 29.5, on this side, 29 5/8. When I was out there, I did notice that the top was pretty true and that the bottom was a little bit more, it had some caulk or something, I'm not sure. So I'm gonna go with the top measurement as being the true one. I did measure the top and bottom here, but so these will come from the top down, and the bottom will be the part that slants. So the 29.5 will come down here, and the 29 5/8 will come there, and I will sort of go diagonal across the bottom. And they were all kind of like that. They were all a little bit off. This one was 76, and the bottom was 75 3/4. So they were all off a little bit. That's it. So if I went ahead and printed out this portion of the design just so that I'd have a clearer view, because once the mesh is over it, it's sort of hard to see. And also remember that this is now blown up from what I had been working on before, which was much, much smaller. And when it gets blown up, I noticed that there were some proportional changes that needed to be made. His ear was much too high. It was up here, so I needed to move that down. And his mouth was way too low, so I moved that up and just adjusted the eyes a little bit better so that I could see them. The hands needed to be changed just a little bit so that they make more sense. And now I'm ready to begin. Started picking out a few skin tones for Moses. Bear in mind, he is Middle Eastern and he's been in the desert, so he's going to have more of a swarthy skin than what I've shown here or what has come out in the print. And I think this is going to be the main glass that I use. So I don't have a lot of room for fooling around with detail here because of the scale of it. This is not a micro mosaic. I need to simplify as much as possible. So I think this will probably be my main skin. And I think I might use a little bit of this on the woman for maybe the highlight on her arm and maybe on her forehead, and maybe also for the baby. But even babies get tan, so just a little bit of this. This is gonna have to be the main skin tone color. That's it. This week is Holy Week. It is almost Easter, and I'm going to take some time off. So instead of cutting the glass this week, that'll have to wait until next week. That's putting it together. Thanks for watching. See you next time.